guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working on a no makeup look. So really to me, what that means is feeling really fresh faced, having your skin beautifully perfected, but really not looking like you're wearing a lot of makeup. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're not wearing much makeup because we definitely are wearing a few things today, but it's really to give that youthful, glowy look. Now, today I am also trying out the Tarte Shape Tape Glow Wand. This is something that I just happened to see at Ulta the other day, and there was definitely a learning curve to it today, which you'll see in the video, but I can't wait to share it with you. So if you'd like to see how we got to this glowy look, then just keep watching. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about prepping the skin. That's going to be crucial in this because we're looking for a less makeup look. So everything we do beforehand and prep is going to be what gives us great results. So I went ahead and I have my vitamin C on and my moisturizer. Today I used the Pharmacy Honey Drop Moisturizer. This is a favorite of mine just because it really makes my skin feel hydrated, but it's perfect for applying makeup on and not having it feel like slippy at all. Now, you want to make sure to have a little bit of time in between your moisturizer and your priming step. Just a couple minutes is fine, but you want to make sure that you're giving that product the time to absorb so that you can layer the next product on top of it. Now, as far as primer, this is really going to depend on your skin needs for that day. What I'm going to use today is the Touch in Sol No Problem Primer. This was one in my favorites of 2019. I like the fact that this really gives a nice softness to the skin. It's going to help blur out any pores. Like I said, since we're trying to go for less makeup, we want everything to set us up for that beautiful smooth canvas. Now, if you, let's say, have really dry skin, maybe you want to use a hydrating primer. If you're someone that has really oily skin, go through with something that's more mattifying. This one I would say is almost like a satin finish. It might mattify a little bit, but it's not as much as others might be out there. Now, the other thing that you could do is get a primer that is an anti-redness primer. If you're someone that gets a lot of redness on your cheeks or your nose, that's another one. So it really depends on your skin type that you're going through, but this is the one I'm using today. This is actually on sale right now at Ulta. They're doing their Love Your Skin event, and this is one of the hot buys. So it's on sale for the entire month, well, through the 25th. And normally this is $18, but you can get this size for $12.60. So the Touch in Sol primers are all 30% off. They have a couple other options on here. The Glassy Skin Balm I also really like that's on sale. So I just wanted to mention that in case any of you did want to pick this up, you could save a little bit of money. So I'm just taking a little bit over a pump, and I'm going to press this first into the areas that I know that I see texture and pores, which is right along my bridge of my nose and right through here, just because that's where I was oilier as a teenager, and then over my chin. Usually I've actually had pretty good skin lately, and so I didn't think I was going to have much to conceal, but just for you guys, I went ahead and ate some dairy so that I'd have a few breakouts for this video. Totally kidding. Not kidding about the dairy part because I did eat some ice cream, but kidding about the reason why. I just ate it because it's delicious. But dairy definitely makes me break out, so I don't really do dairy very much. But it was a good timing for this video, so I'll have a couple little spots to conceal. All right, I went ahead and just turned down my light a little bit. I felt like it was like blowing out my skin a little bit, which makes you look flawless, but that's not the point of this video. We're going to be working on concealing and perfecting without looking like we have a full mask on. So what I'm going to do is let this sit for, like I said, about a minute or two. Now, how many of these steps you choose and which ones you decide to do are up to you. I'm going to show you a few options. For me, even though this is like a no makeup look, I still want to have some nice definition to my face, so I am going to do a little bit of contouring. However, to keep it nice and soft, I'm actually going to lay that on underneath the base product that I'm going to use. So what that's going to do is it's going to help blur it out, and since it's going to lay underneath the tinted moisturizer, it's going to have a softer effect. And even if you don't get it blended in perfectly, going over with that next layer of your foundation or your tinted moisturizer, whatever you're going to use, will help give you that natural look. I'm using the Fenty Matchsticks in Amber. This is a very cool tone shade, but what it's going to do is just give that nice shadow, because I'm not necessarily looking for that bronze. I'm just looking for, that naturally, like this just happens to be my cheekbones look. And I'll do a little bit just around the corners of the forehead and underneath my chin. I'm going to take this Sephora Sculpting Complexion brush and just blend this in. So again, the shade of this really is going to just mimic shadow, which is exactly what we want. Like I said, the whole purpose of this is to just really help sculpt the face a little bit, but it's really going to lay nice and soft once we get the foundation put over the top. One of the things that I like about this is it's a bit more of a dry feel, so when I put my next product over the top, it's not going to slide around a lot. So this is a great one when you're doing contouring underneath any other makeup. Now, you could also put your blush underneath your foundation as well to get that really subtle glow. You can of course skip blush altogether if you want to. I still like a very fresh cheek, so I am going to do it on top. The other thing is, if you have blemishes that you're going to be concealing, I would recommend doing the blush over the top of that, because obviously once you lay the concealer down, then the blush is going to be concealed as well. So it's sort of like a step-by-step process. If you don't have a lot of blemishes in your cheek area, you could go ahead and go through with a bit of blush in the same manner as we did with the contour. But like I said, I'm gonna go over the top just for that more like fresh, flushed look. So by the way, I'm choosing to use the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer just because I really like the shade of this, and it's just sheer enough that, you know, we're gonna get a little bit of color from it, but it's mostly just gonna kind of balance out the skin a little bit. I like the finish of it. It's really nice and hydrating, but it's not super like glowy, and you can build it up a little bit if you want to. Otherwise, it's great for just like that sheer coverage. Now, when I get to the areas that I have that contour, I'm being careful, you know, not to buff so hard that I'm gonna move all of that product around. But like I said, the Fenty matchsticks are a bit more dry, so they stay in place a little better. For me, a no makeup look, it's a subtle balance as far as the finish goes, because you don't want it to be too glowy, because I mean, really, unless you're like sweating, our skin isn't super dewy, but you don't want it to be really matte either. So you want that nice skin-like satin finish. So that you guys can see, I'm a little bit covered. You know, it just kind of blurred everything out a bit. I have a bit of that contour, like I have some nice shape when I'm facing forward, but it doesn't look like, oh, today I used color 364 and, you know, like crammed a huge line down the side of my face. So it just gives you that nice soft effect. I love this tinted moisturizer. It just leaves such a natural finish. I'm gonna work on concealing my blemishes first, just so that those have a little bit of time to dry down before we powder. What I'm gonna use today is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This used to be one that I loved to use just as my like all over concealer, but I do find it to be a bit more drying for under the eyes in the fall and winter. But the coverage of this is really great for breakouts. It's full coverage. Also, the texture of this isn't so creamy that it's gonna slide around, and that's exactly what we're looking for, is something that we can very delicately place and not have to worry about moving around. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a lip brush just to place this concealer right on any areas that I have pigmentation that I'm wanting to cover up. So right now, I've still got that pigmentation from that last breakout I had. I have a couple breakouts, and then I've got one spot up here on my upper cheekbone that again is just pigmentation from a previous breakout. So that's going to be what I'm working on. And rather than taking this doe foot, because it is so big, I'm not going to take the entire doe foot and dot it on. I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I'm just going to use the lip brush to go ahead and conceal these areas. This one, that's a pretty good match. It might be a tiny bit dark, but not too bad. Now, one thing that you can do, especially if you have like the perfect match, is go ahead and place the product and then let it sit for, you know, a minute or so, just to help that set down a little bit before you tap out the edges. That can really help the longevity of that spot. Like, I think sometimes, you know, we tap product on and then we blend, and all of a sudden we're like, well, now I have concealer all the way out over half my chin, but I don't even feel like the blemish is covered anymore. So if you let that sit for a minute and give it some time, then that will really help it stay in that one spot. I think one area I'm also going to add a bit of this concealer in is right around my nose. I'm just getting a little red right through here. Wow, it's been so long since I've used this. I kind of forgot like how high coverage it is. If you need to, once you've blended that first layer of concealer, you can always go over with another like layer in any areas that it's really pigmented. Now keep in mind, when you conceal, it's not going to make the texture go away. You know, if you have raised bumps, there's nothing that you can do that's going to completely deplete that. Using something that's pore filling or smoothing will help that appearance a little bit, but we're just going to be able to conceal the tint of that blemish. Now, I also get really red on my nose, so I just went through with a very light layer, almost just across the bridge of my nose and like right down here on the tip. I just get this like Rudolph look that isn't cute. Christmas is done. We're moving on. No red nose. So if you guys can see, those more pigmented blemish spots are really nicely concealed, but it's not like we went through with so much concealer everywhere that our whole face, again, now looks like we have makeup on. And now we'll go through with the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. Again, this is just going to help correct some of the darkness that I have here. So if you get that little bit of darkening, this is a great one to use. I do like using it with a bit of a flat concealer brush. This one is the F70 from Sigma. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that difference in the camera, but this side is just nice and brightened up. It isn't like quite as recessed and just looking kind of sunken in. So this is just that first step that's going to help give us that brightened eye. So that like peachy tone that corrector has really just helps cancel out, you know, some of that like blue tone. Now what this means is I can go through with a smaller amount of concealer to be able to really cover up that eye area without having to load on so much product. I was at Ulta the other day and the line was like all the way to the back of the store. And as I was walking around waiting, I saw this new Shape Tape Glow Wand. And so I thought, oh, maybe this is like a more hydrating version of Shape Tape. I'm gonna, swatch it, check it out. I must not have swatched it as well in the store because what I thought it was is not quite what it was. It's not necessarily like a more hydrating version of Shape Tape. What it is it's something that is definitely a mild glow product. This is the shade Dream, and when I swatched this on my hand earlier today, immediately what this reminds me of is the Charlotte Tilbury Superstar Youth Glow thing. I don't know how Samantha Ravindal gets that every time. So the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter for a Superstar Youth Glow. So this guy. This one is definitely a little bit more radiant, but this has a bit of that feel to it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but it definitely has a nice glowy look to it. I think that this is going to be really pretty because we don't want highlighter, right? Because, our skin isn't naturally metallic, but we want a fresh look. And so I'm going to try putting this on as a concealer as well, just through like the under eye area and my lids, and we'll see how that goes. I haven't actually used this on my face yet, so we'll see. I might regret it, but probably should have tried this out before I did this video, but I'm risking it for you guys. So this does come with this little removable sponge. I don't know if they expect you to like get in here like this, or if they actually expect you to do this, but either way, I'm probably not going to use it. I'll either just go through with my fingers or with a Beauty Blender blusher. I will say I could maybe see this getting a little messy over time, just even from the 2 times that I've dipped in and out. It has so much like suction or anti-suction, if you will, that it might get a little messy, but I'm just gonna dot a little bit of this on. So I'm just gonna do one side and we'll see how this goes, but just a lightly dampened Beauty Blender blusher. Now, the one thing about that bit of glow that this has is it could be really good at diffusing fine lines because it's not like glittery, but sometimes if you have that little bit of glow, it can really diffuse anything going on that you really don't want to be seeing. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think it's going to be really pretty, like as like a super natural highlighter, but I'm not sure how I feel about it as a concealer. All right, I have the Maybelline Fit Me shade in light. And I'm just gonna add this. I really like that Shape Tape, but I think it needs to just be almost like a bit of a highlighter type situation. Yeah, I could see like mixing the two together or laying the first one down and then the other one. All right, and then just in the areas that I have some extra pigmentation, which is right here for me, and maybe just a little bit on the chin. I'm just adding a little bit of that Fit Me to balance that out with the color that's further out on my face. I really like the finish of that glow wand. Like, it is going to be so beautiful to give you a little bit of radiance. So now what I'm going to do is just take a bit of that glow wand and pop it on my cheeks. See, this is what I was talking about. It like wants to pop out, so just be careful of that. Yeah, that's really pretty. Wow. Okay, so I'm so glad that I got this product. I'm really going to enjoy this, just not in the way that I kind of thought I would. So I actually do like the way it looks in the under eye area, but it needed a bit more coverage. So like I said, I would either mix it or just layer it like I did. But I really like that glow that it gave to the cheekbones. You could certainly also do it down your nose, on your chin, on your forehead, anywhere that you want that little bit of glow. But I think I just want to keep it right on the cheekbones for now. So this is obviously an optional step, but I am going to go ahead and add a bit of blush. I'm using the ColourPop blush sticks, and this is the shade Under Pressure. So this is just like a light pinky peach shade. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this on my e.l.f. small stipple brush and blend that in just to get that really like fresh in from the cold look. Now, like I said, this is a step you can completely skip if you want, but I just think a little flush to the cheeks just looks so pretty. So that just, again, it's not like, oh my gosh, she's wearing a blush, but it just gives that like little flush. So now we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of setting on the face. I just wanna make sure to tap this area under my eyes out since it's been a couple minutes since I applied it, just to make sure that any creasing that may have occurred is smoothed out. Otherwise, you're gonna like set those creases right in, almost like ironing wrinkles into a shirt. Once it's there, it's not coming out unless you wash it. And just using the finest amount of the Hourglass Veil setting powder, and I'm really just gonna hit my eye and down around my nose, because those are the areas that get kind of oily for me, or the product tends to slip around a little bit. All right, so there's just a little look at the skin. Like I said, you can see I have just a bit of dimension and glow to the skin, but it's not as makeup-y looking, if you will. So I'm gonna choose to set my face today with the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray, just because I know this one is really gonna help all of this set down. And then I'm gonna finish up and I'll be right back. All right, so here we have our final look. I went ahead and just did my brows with my normal feathery brow routine, and then I went through with a couple coats of my trusty L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black Mascara, and this lip combo is part of the video that I'm putting together for you guys right now on some of my favorites to wear when my lips are dry, so that I'll be sharing really soon. It all, really just looks like you got a lot of rest and you're really fresh. I really enjoy this look. I definitely am glad that I picked this up. I mean, you guys can see this glow. I have zero powder highlighter, and so this glow that's on my skin right now is just from the glow wand. I really like this a lot. I do think, like I said, you need a little bit more coverage under the eyes, but that Maybelline Fit Me, which really doesn't have a great ton of coverage, was just enough to do the trick. So like I said, being able to go through and correct the under eye color with the Becca Under Eye Corrector first, then any product you lay over the top of that is going to do a better job with less product. And that's really what this technique is all about, is using a little less product just in the places that you need it. So I really enjoy this. I hope you guys found this helpful. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like. And if you're not subscribed, I really hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Hope you guys are all having a great one, and I'll see you really soon.